Alright, hello everybody, and today we are going to be talking about allusions in literature. So, before we can continue any further, we first of all have to define what an allusion is. An allusion is when a writer makes a reference to a well-known or familiar topic, and we ask ourselves, event, what does this remind me of? Or work of art. In the picture, we can see his or well-known cartoon, writing. South Park. It can involve a person, an event, an allusion to a historical event, Harry Potter series. Anything the writer feels that he needs by incorporating the design of Harry Potter into South Park. So, for example, in this case, the character Eric Cartman is portrayed as Harry Potter, but with a slightly different name, Eric Potter. The creators have done this in order to try to combine the feelings and emotions as well as the ideas behind Harry Potter and merge it with their own, perhaps to try to teach us something through the combination of the two. In this case, it has resulted in Eric Potter and the Kidney Stone. There are many types of allusion. You can have biblical ones, which refer to the Bible or some form of religious work. You can have classical allusions, in which case the writer refers to classical literature. And you can also have literary allusions, in which case the writer is referring to another well-known, or indeed not well-known, literary piece of work. You can also have historical allusions as well, in which case the writer is referring to some important event. But all of this is meaningless if you do not understand the reference. And the only way to really get over this is that you have to be really well read and have very broad experiences over a massive variety. If you take a look at the screen, you can see that there are a variety of allusions being made in modern historical literature. In this case, we've used the examples of like an alien watching Family Guy, and you can see that in cartoon and three they are alluding saying but none of the jokes would actually make culture sense shows. In this case, it is Star Wars and Harry Potter. TV shows often allude to other TV shows. So in this case, The Simpsons is alluding to, for example, the Addams Family. And indeed, you can also allude to other works of art. So take a minute and see if you can guess which is the famous artist who is being alluded to here. And here is the original version by Salvador Dali. You can see that there are many between the two. In fact, The Simpsons has even made allusions to popular literature as well, as in this case the allusion is being made to The Lord of the Flies. Now, Brave New World, the primary allusion being used in Brave New World is that of Shakespeare's The Tempest. And in Brave New World, the savage quotes Miranda, so we have a quote within a quote. Miranda quotes, "Oh, brave new world." The irony, however, is that Miranda is looking at drunken sailors who are hardly examples of the best of humanity. And thus the idiom "it's a brave new world" came about, in which basically means that this is a new period in history which has come from major changes in society. A brief look at Aldous Huxley. He was born in 1894, died in 1962, developed issues with his sight, so basically he couldn't be a scientist or fight during World War II. and thus instead used his brilliant mind to become a writer. He wanted to talk about the shift in dependence of man on the state rather than the individual, even though he himself grew up in an environment with an extremely rigid class structure. And his father was a well-known biologist, and his mother was a very well-known family of authors. So he had a background in both science and writing. He made various references in his book, Brave New World, and the primary allusion he made was the character of Lenin or
Second
Lenina.
allusion
Okay,
that,
now
is
is
made
made
in the book
is that
refers
of Fanny
to
Kaplan, who was a Russian revolutionary and attempted to assassin Lenin. So Fanny in Brave New World, alluding to Fanny Kaplan. Another allusion being made in Brave New World is the reference to Ford. Now, we all know Ford cars, but actually Ford was a gentleman himself who actually basically came up with the idea of mass production on a massive scale. And in these ideas are utilized by Aldous Huxley, and indeed they're often taken as inspirations for truth. Even time is reckoned, according to Ford, which wants to show us the obsession that the individuals have in Brave New World with efficiency and productivity. Another reference made in Brave New World, or an allusion, if you like, is that of Sigmund Freud. Individuals are conditioned in Brave New World, and and indeed they're conditioned not only through their behavior but also through their sleep as well. These were all teachings which were essentially taught by Freud at the very base level. Bernard Marx, again, is a reference to Karl Marx, one of the founders of communism and indeed the writer of Das
refers
Kapital.
to the scientist.
The only issue is that
Pavlov,
Marx
and
called religion
basically it
the
was
opium
an
of the people,
extension
but in
of his
Brave New
research
World,
into
Aldous Huxley
humans.
has
In
in Brave New World, humans are conditioned to think and act and feel in the ways the government wants them to. Benito Hoover, in Brave New World, combines the names of two men who dealt and wielded an enormous amount of power. These would be Benito Mussolini, the Italian dictator, and Herbert Hoover, the American president. And the Malthusian belt, inspired by the ideas of population control, who we attribute to Thomas Malthus. He believed that unless we got a good control over our population, we would slowly use up all of our resources, and thus slowly society would collapse. So he advocated the use of birth control
John B.
on
Watson
a national
is
level. A reference made by Helmholtz Watson, and in this case, John B. Watson was the psychologist who carried out the experiments of little Albert. And finally, must